Okay, let's see if we can focus in here a little bit. Very good. Here's your icebreaker question for today. How good is your vision? How good is your vision? And do you need glasses? How long have you needed glasses? Things like that. Talk about that with your icebreaker question. And when you're ready to dive into the scriptures, you can press play on the video. As we're looking forward into 2020 and looking for God's vision for us as individuals and our families and as the church, um, really there's no better way than to look at the vision that He's already communicated to us through Jesus. Jesus didn't stay a baby, He grew up into a man. Not only that, He was a prophet. He was the Messiah or the Christ. He was the Son of God, and He was God in the flesh, Emmanuel, God with us. And while He was with us, He gave us lots of teachings. But there are ones that are so famous and so fundamental that they have their own names. One is called the Great Commandment, and one is called the Great Commission. And when we look at these teachings of Jesus, what we learn is the most important thing for us to be thinking of and as we live our lives. And really, it gives us the three top priorities for our lives. And so, what I want you to do is to read the Great Commandment and the Great Commission. Those are on your half sheet there. The one is in Matthew 22, that's the Great Commandment. And then Matthew 28 has the Great Commission. Read that and then talk about with your group what do the Great Commandment and the Great Commission tell us to do. When you're done talking about that, you can press play and continue to the next set of scriptures. When we're trying to understand God's mission, God's picture, God's vision for our lives, it's really important that we take the time um, to see not only the positive, but also see the warnings, the dangers, the pitfalls. And Jesus teaches those in the Gospels in the book of Matthew. We're just using the book of Matthew as an example. And he talks about some things that we should be careful not to do. And as you read these sections, it's really important to take the time to distinguish between what Jesus is saying and what he is not saying. Because he's going to talk about things like prayer and fasting and giving to the poor. And as you read these things, I just want you to make the distinction. Is Jesus telling us not to give to the poor, not to pray, not to fast? Um, or is he telling us something else to be careful of? Is he warning us about something else? And so as you read that, read it in your own Bible. I gave you the passage there to look up. Take the time to make the distinction and talk about what does he say about these things and what does he warn us against, so that you are starting to see God's vision for our lives, as well as where God does not want us to go. When you're done reading that in your own Bibles and talking about those questions, you can press play, and it'll take you to the last section to read. You know, um, as you dive into these scriptures, a word starts to come up over and over again, and that is the word hypocrite. Um, The Greek word hypocrite actually uh, is not translated into English of hypocrite. It is, but it's a transliteration. It's taking the Greek letters and putting them into English letters. It doesn't tell us the meaning of the word. The Greek word hypokrites actually means play actor. It's the way we would use the word actor or actress to talk about somebody on the stage, or in our case, on movies or YouTube or whatever the case may be. And it's talking about the fact that when they go on stage, they're doing one thing. They're living one life. They are one character. And when they go off of the stage, they are a different person with a different life, different character. And so the warning is not against doing the things that he was saying there. The warning is against being a play actor, because you see, when we try to fake a walk together with God, when we try to act right around our pastor or around other people at church, or just at work or just in the house or something like that. What happens is that there's a distinction or a difference between how we're acting and who we really are. And while you can fool some of the people uh, some of the time, you might even be able to fool all the people some of the time, or some of the people all the time. But the reality in all of those situations is that you will never fool God any of the time. God sees, God knows, God is aware of your heart and where your heart is, and what's really going on in your motivation in your mind as you do things. So the warning that Jesus is giving us is not to try to fake being a Christ follower. Don't fake walking with God. Don't fake loving your neighbor as yourself. Actually walk with God. Actually love your neighbor as yourself. And then when you go to make disciples, when you go to help somebody else walk with God, you'll have something to share because you know how to do it. As you read these last two sections, and I'm just going to pile the two sections together so you can read the scripture and then talk about being the salt of the earth and what a hypocrite is, and then read the next set of scriptures and talk about being the light of the world, and go to your prayer time. I just encourage you to think about and talk about and uh, what it means to be authentic, what it means to be the same sort of on stage as you are off stage, and what it means to make all of that submitted to God, so that you are choosing to love God with your whole heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Um, then go to a time of prayer, so that you can encourage each other in that walk, help each other to get rid of the play acting in your lives, and to be authentic Christ followers. Know that I'm praying for you even now, before you watch this video, knowing that that God is with you in the moment when you are reading these scriptures and talking and praying. Uh, I'm praying for you that your walk will grow in 2020, that your vision will become clear in 2020, and this picture of walking together with God will not just be something that you see, but something that you own, that you live, and that you'll be able to share as well. Pray for me also, that same prayer, that I will be a man of God, and I will help others to be men and women of God. God bless.